Welcome, everybody, to Go For Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Simon. You all know my co-host, John. John, how you doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good. And we are bringing Jeffrey back on. Both of y'all are Army. And
But
what?
everybody out there wants to know, Kevin, are you the new Navy mascot?
Oh, hell no, no. All right. Let's get some stuff straight. We were in the Old Navy. I just want y'all to know we were in the Old Navy. So anybody sitting out there wants to know, no.
Traded those pants in for a score.
You know, y'all are a bunch of buttholes. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, right off the bat, I'm gonna let everybody know, no, I was not a mascot in the Navy. Would I not be a mascot in the Navy or anything
Were
like
you the
that?
head or the tail?
Hey man, the Marines were the mascots.
There you go.
All right, everybody. So tonight we brought Jeffrey back. One of the reasons we brought Jeffrey back is, what was it, about 8 months ago, 6 to 8 months ago, we brought your whole crew on that you served with over in Iraq during Desert Storm. And in that process, that was probably one of my favorite shows. I mean, anybody listening, I'm sorry, but when you have like 6 people on at one time and it's organized,
it was fun.
The crap that we heard, what y'all went through. Let's talk a little bit about that. Tell everybody about yourself, when you served, and what all you did in over in Desert Storm.
Okay. Well, first off, thanks for having me on, Kevin. I do appreciate it. Thanks, John. I joined the Army in September of 1987. Served 4 years active duty, 2 years, not 2 years reserve, 2 years National Guard. During my time, I was stationed in Germany for 2 years, and then I went to Fort Huachuca, Arizona. After the 2 years over in Germany. And during that time, Hussein kicked off in August of 1990, kicked off and went into Kuwait. We got tapped on the shoulder in October of 90 to head over to Saudi Arabia, to Dhahran. So myself and 11th Sigma Brigade, which was, I honestly don't know all the companies involved, but it was 40th Sigma Battalion, 86 Sigma Battalion, and all the subtending, I don't know how you would word it, companies of 11th Sigma Brigade. We all took off and went over there to support for communications for the Army. We arrived in Dhahran, I want to say the 1st of November, the end of October. And Dhahran, we went to Saudi, to Escom Village in Riyadh. During that time, we had contractors that were, cleaning our clothes for us, washing clothes, that were cooking our food and all this stuff. And we didn't know it at the time, but Escom Village had been used for falcon hunting. They were using falcons to hunt pigeons. So with the pigeons that were there at Escon, there were a lot of cats that were around that were also hunting the pigeons. And there had the water silos they were using had cats and dead pigeons had fallen in there. And we were drinking this water, not knowing it was contaminated.
Holy crap.
Yeah, really good stuff. So that's part of what we were exposed to. And a lot of us got sick. We had some form of like diarrhea and vomiting and stuff at the same time. And, just really, not very pleasant things were occurring. We thought it was the foods because, we always went to the chow hall. Our clothes that were being cleaned weren't really clean. They smelled moldy, musty, even smelled like fuel sometimes, like the water they were using wasn't necessarily filtered properly or whatnot. So that our uniforms weren't very clean. But then we dispatched to the field January 26th of December 26th, 1990. We dispatched to the field. And I don't know if you remember all the names, but Jimmy Nelson was with me on the show last time. Jimmy and I were together. I'm trying to think who else was with us, but it was such a pretty big group. Anyway, we dispatched to a site called Kilo Romeo 11, and we were a radio relay site for Tropo communications. And we had a shot from Riyadh going up into the front lines in Iraq. and we were supporting that about 150 miles north of Riyadh up toward KKMC. I don't know the exact location. And while we were there, we kind of got forgotten about while we were out there, and we were right next to an airport. And that airport, there was a there was a Patriot battery that was guarding the airport, and they had about 16 pods. I don't know what you call their systems, but they had canisters of 4, and there were about 4 of them lined up that defended the airport. So the first night of the war, on the 16th, going into the 17th of January, 1991, we had 9 Scuds that were shot at us. And when those Scuds were shot at us, 8 of them made it. 1 of them went errant somewhere in the desert. 8 of them made it to us, but the battery, the Patriot battery, didn't know we were there. And in defense of the airport, which we were about a mile away from, they shot the Patriots to intercept the Scuds right over us. So we had just molten aluminum or whatever type material it is, just falling. I mean, raining on us out of the sky.
Okay, but hold on. I want you to tell the story.
Okay.
I want the story told to each and every person out there about whenever it first. Know a story. Because if I say it's going to give it away.
Okay. So I'd been on guard duty all day. We usually pull 12-hour shifts. I'd pulled my 12-hour shift. I'd gone back to bed to my cot, and I'd wrap my M16. Our 16s, we usually put them at the end of the cot to keep it off the ground, make sure they're kept clean. And I'd gone to bed probably about 11:30, 11:45ish that night. Of course, the war kicked off. I want to say around 1 a.m. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, somewhere right in there. So I'm trying to go to sleep and, fiddle farting around. And we've got several guys. There's about 13 of us there that were with 11 Sig, with 593rd Signal Company, 11 Signal Brigade.
Wait a second. You got wait. Hold on. You were trying to go to sleep. How they didn't let you know it was happening? They told us it was happening.
Oh, just wait. No, they didn't tell us neither.
We freaking knew. Hey, we said it's about ready to go down, and we're like, okay, next thing we're hearing shit. Lights out on choppers.
We were the forgotten redheaded stepchild. We were out there in the middle of the desert. Nobody knew. I think they forgot about us, honestly. I really do, John. Now, we were told later on, we were told that they actually played the national anthem, and that was a cue for all the field teams to know that the war had started. But we didn't have a radio. And the only radio we had one of our guys loved, his name was Rico Suave. I don't know if you remember him, but he would, gosh, I cannot remember the name of the song, but he played this cassette over and over, and it would drive you bonkers. But it was, I cannot remember his name, but he loved this one song, and he would play it over and over. So we never heard the radio anyway. He always played this cassette he had.
So when the war took off, you were located where again?
I was at a site called Kilo Romeo 11, just a radio relay site in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
But you were a relay site. And how did you not know? I don't get it.
I don't have a
I did not know that shit's about ready to go down.
Right, because isn't that their job to know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They were communicating, yeah. Well, the comms guys are always the last to know, right? So and we were told we were told by either Third ID or whoever it was told us, if we get overran, you guys are on your own. So we were on high alert already. We're like, okay, our vans are made of magnesium, and they told us, when they told us that, we're like, okay, we have Willie Pete's, and we'll take a Willie Pete, because that's what we're supposed to do: throw it in the van, burn it to the ground. But we're going to chuck the Willie Pete's in the van, burn it, run like hell, because we're not going to fight.
That's funny shit, because we had the first ID in front of us. And then we were told, listen, hey, if the first ID, we're like digging foxholes. I'm like, wait a second. You're telling me if the freaking first ID, a bunch of goddamn engineers, we're supposed to beat them with our shovels? I mean, I'm
and
joking,
that is why I joined the Navy.
Smart man.
Stayed out in the freaking water, and I was like, there's nothing possible that can go wrong. And then we found out Saddam put
You're just
mines
out
all
there
in the
mines
riding
water.
out
the
there,
wave,
yeah.
man.
All the oil rig fires were on fire, and I mean, certain gas on top of us. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
true because the only way we knew we declared war is all of a sudden. I mean, every missile hatch
Just
opened
lights
up, and
up.
I mean, it was the 4th of July. I mean,
And I knew shit was really bad when they started handing out, the grenades, and I was like, what?
wait, they gave you a
I mean,
grenade?
for real. And okay,
Oh,
so now I understand
no.
combat engineers, but I mean, we were under the combat, but we were construction engineers. Now, of course, we know fucking grenades, pull the pin, throw it, right? Get it. But that being said, we didn't see that one coming. We're like,
Right.
I mean, we're that's just one of those things you kind of did in basic training, and duck. We weren't infantry.
I'm with you, man. They gave us a case. They gave us a case or two of grenades. This is no lie. Our sergeant made us dig a hole and put those grenades in the hole because he's like, "You fuckers will blow yourself. I'm sorry, you guys will blow yourselves up." We're like, what do you mean? We know what we're doing. We're the army,
Could you
They
imagine
made
me
us
with a
dig a
grenade?
hole.
Could you imagine with me with a grenade? I was like, I'll be like, man, I'm
Well,
gonna see how far I could throw this.
oh, good Lord. I cannot, yeah. Nowadays, yeah. I mean, well, even then, yeah, we would, yeah, exactly. As goofy as we are, who knows what we would have tried to do.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all what 19, 20-year-old kids.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. I was 20 at the time. Yeah. Or excuse me, 21. I was 21. I turned 21. I had a chance to go to the bar legally one time before we took off.
Well, so you were out in the middle of nowhere and doing this, and they told you, okay. So I was flipping you shit about going to sleep because honestly, I would have thought everybody
Oh,
would have
Not a
heard,
clue.
especially a
clue.
freaking
wait till you hear how he
Tom's ear.
woke up, John. Wait till you
Oh
hear
yeah.
how he woke up.
So I'm going to sleep, and I'm finally dozing off, and all of a sudden I hear a boom, 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 and I hear this just all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm like, what the hell? So I pop my head up, and then Ricky Lee Harbin runs in from Virginia, and I'm like, Ricky, what's going on? He says, oh man, the Patriots are going off, and I said, what do you mean? He goes, the Patriots are going off. Or he said those things are going off, and I said, what do you mean, the Patriots? And he says, yeah. And I was like, holy shit. So I jump up, and I've already probably got my BDUs on, my lowers on. So I start throwing my top on, and I'm trying to grab my M16, and it's on the end of my cot. So, the cot's got the breakaway on the end of it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to grab my 16, and I'm yanking it, and my whole cot's coming up because I'm panicked.
You were Ep.95 in it.
All you hear is a boom, 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 and it's loud, and this is a 500-pound HE warhead, and there's not one, there's a bunch of them going off. So I'm like, holy crap. So I'm yank, my whole cot's coming up. I finally get the idea, put your boot on your cot so you can pull it up. So I put my boot on my cot. I yank my M16 so hard, my whole cot, the end piece breaks, what you're supposed to. It breaks, and then the whole cot just flips up in the air. But I get my 16 loose. I turn around. It's a GP medium. I take off running, and I remember there's a center pole, so I duck out of the way of the center pole. But I forget there's that guideline that comes down for the center pole.
Oh,
and I clothesline myself.
Oh,
and I'm doing Olympic Jesse Owens speed here, and I hit. What's Usain Bolt speed is what I'm doing. I hit so hard. Before I hit the ground, it's like a cartoon. My feet are level with me. I can see my feet in front of me before I hit the ground.
And that's how he got his Purple Heart.
There's my pin for my Purple Heart.
Oh, shit.
So I hit the ground, and all I could think is, oh, my God, I'm going to freaking die, because all I see in the sky. So the Scuds shoot that chaff out before when they're doing the acquisition. I'm sorry, the Patriots. But when they do the acquisition, they shoot this chaff, and it looks like a huge hand. And I see this huge, like, smoke-looking hand up in the sky. And all I see is just boom, boom, boom. And I see everything blowing up, and I'm thinking, have to die. I'm 21 years old. This is bullshit. I'm going to die right now. Because I knew that Saddam had used the stuff that fills your lungs, basically the sarin and all that stuff.
Yeah,
When
sarin
it
mustard.
drowns you in your own blood, and I knew that's when I was going to die. I'm like, well, shit. This sucks. So, and I apologize for the language. So I'm just like, man, this is the way I'm going to go. 21 years old. This really sucks. And I wasn't mad. I was just like, well, crap, and I get up from the ground. My head, I don't know, my head's hurting, but when you get punched in the face, how you feel when you're fighting. And so I could feel it, but it didn't really hurt, and I didn't really care, to be honest. So I get up and I run to the bunker, and we had dug these 8-foot bunkers with the little, the grenade, the little thing we have in case a grenade's thrown in. You can kick it into the little.
You guys actually dug those?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we dug all that stuff. Oh
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, just in case we didn't
We're
know.
a fucking engineers unit.
Hey.
We dug down about that deep.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
we had a
signalmen are
full 8-foot
smart.
bunker. Yeah, we were ready. We had fighting positions at 2 different locations, facing north and south, and then we had a full concertina wire about 5 foot deep. 5 foot layered around the perimeter of our site and everything. We were ready to go, man. And so I run in there, and I knew it was 8 feet deep, but I didn't care. I just dove in because by that time stuff's just going off everywhere. And I dive in, and I get up, and I roll around, find because I left my mop like an idiot. I left my mop gear in the bunker because nothing's gonna happen,
Right, yeah.
So I start trying to get dressed. I put my mop pants on. And you know how you start from your knees zipping down with the mop gear?
Yeah.
So I start trying to zip down with my mop gear, and I'm shaking so bad. My hand is doing this. I mean, I'm uncontrollably trying to grab the zipper to zip down. I can't control my hand. And I'm like, God, what? I'm just losing my mind because I can't zip my pants down. And I finally get the mop gear on after a while. And then I realize in the whole process of this, I haven't put my mask on yet. So I'm inhaling all the payload and the rocket fuel and all this other stuff from the Patriots and the Scuds both. And I put my mask on. I try to seal it. And here's the kicker. So, John, I got in an argument with my E6, my staff sergeant, earlier that day. Oh. And I had taken my mask off and I chucked it to the corner. Well, when I did that, I wear corrective lenses. So you remember how you used to have to put the corrective lenses, had those two like it almost looked like, the little things in there to hold it in place. Well, one of those had popped out. So when I put it on, it went right into my eye. Shit. Yeah, it went right into my left eye. So
why the hell are you laughing, Simon? That shit ain't funny. That shit hurts, man.
I just wanted to be known that everything that he is talking about that he did, that's why I didn't join the army. Right there. Right there.
If it weren't for the fact that I could have died, it really could have been a great skit for like Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, or Bob Hope and somebody. It would,
Well, I want to get the time going because we could go on and on about this, and then let's get into some of the studies and the researches that you have been doing lately. And some of the stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is presumptives. Everybody knows what our main presumptives are: fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, IBS. That also includes with neurological, kidney disease, liver disease, pancreatic, heart disease. The list goes on and on and on. But one of the biggest thing is, along with ALS and PLS, we all know that ALS is really big among the Desert Storm community, along with PLS. And we did the show last week about that. I don't know if you caught it, but you need to, Jeffrey, because it's really sad.
It is.
It's
terrifying.
Right. But that is the only thing in the medical books is ALS on Gulf War vets. So now we're going to talk about what you've been doing.
Okay, so I started going. I didn't go to the VA for 27 years, and the reason I didn't go is because I felt a lot of shame for for what I just talked about. It's comical. I could even tell jokes about it early on, not early on necessarily, but in the '90s and in the early 2000s. It became a joke, and I knew I had problems because I had interface with the Portland Police, with the U.S. Marshals, with the IRS. I took form letters coming to me was enough to set me off to say, you want to threaten me, by God, come to my house. We'll have a full on duke them out, pistol shootout, whatever you want to do. We'll do it. And I was on edge all the time. So anyway, and that's how my National Guard career ended. I actually threatened a lieutenant colonel, and it didn't go well at all. Sorry. That didn't go well at all either. And I wound up getting generally discharged from the National Guard. But anyway, I went to in 2017. I found out at that time that I had liver issues, kidney issues. I was diagnosed with PTSD. I have some spots on my. It's called calcified granuloma on my lungs. And I have Salzman nodules on my eyes. What's that, John?
Calcified on your lungs?
Yes, I have
Eventually calcification on your lungs?
Yes, they're just little nodules. Yeah, and it's not like real bad, but I've got some of my lungs and stuff. And they say, the VA says, well, we don't know if it's called. If there's two different kinds. There's bacterial, and then there's viral, and it's called something like histological, or so. There's a word for it for viral, and there's a word for bacterial. Bacterial usually leans toward like tuberculosis or something, or some form of resting tuberculosis, and there's a name for that too, but I don't know what it's called. But anyway, they said that they couldn't tell what it was from. It could have been from childhood. They want to explain it away immediately, of course. Yeah. So it could have been from childhood. It could have been from being sick, whenever. It could have been, possibly from when I was over there and we were exposed to the oil, because we were exposed to the oil enough to where it literally was like a black and white movie. It was day and night. I mean, during the day, it was like a black and white movie.
Yeah.
The sun was orange, like an orangish red during the day, and the days were like a black and white movie. It was weird. And we were exposed to that for several months, while we were over there. So anyway, kidneys, liver, eyes, I'm trying not to get too far off. Pain. I have constant pain in my neck, my back, my shoulders, my elbows, my wrist, not all my fingers, but my fingers on the second joint. I'm trying to get to the camera. So this joint here, the second joint, I don't know the term for it, but not on all of them, but my fingers actually feel like they're swollen. At night, it'll wake me up from the pain where I can't bend my hands.
Got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned pain, and what does the VA, and I'm asking this for a very specific reason, because of something that happened to me, and I won't go into details with me myself. I'm just kind of curious for yourself. For you, for pain, how do you treat the overall pain?
So I'm taking Cymbalta, and I'm also taking meloxicam. The max you can take a meloxicam is 15 milligrams a day, and it's kind of like a super duper. Not aspirin, but Advil. It's like an Advil.
Oh yeah, naproxen.
What's that?
Is it naproxen?
It's the standard, like the NSAID or whatever it's called.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like an Advil, but it's a better form, and it's only 15 milligrams, and you cannot take any other stuff. I can't take Advil. I can't take ibuprofen. I can only take that one thing. And I can only take 15 milligrams.
Does that mute the pain pretty good for you?
It dulls it, and the Cymbalta really helps. I actually, by accident, I ran out of Cymbalta last week. I screwed up and I forgot to order my meds, so I ran out. And for like 5 days, I didn't take anything. And it felt like, number one, it felt like I was like in the ocean and being literally just pushed around. I had no control. I had to tell my manager at work, hey, I'm off my meds. I'm having a hard time. So I was afraid if I didn't.
No, I appreciate that. I'll explain it maybe in the after show why
Okay.
I asked that particular question. But go ahead. I had to ask you about that generalized question.
Well,
You bet. So
I have this though, because about 6 weeks ago, I ran out of meds myself, and mine is Valoxafen, which is a little bit stronger than Cymbalta of what I'm taking, but they forgot to send it to me.
oh,
After 4 days, I was ready to commit suicide. We had to call a crisis hotline, but mine isn't for depression. Mine is strictly for my nerve pain, along with the neuropathy. And a lot of guys with neurological disorders out there that need this medicine, and the VA likes to tend to screw up on medicines, which I don't know why, but I don't know if it's their system or what it is. But literally, I had to fight to get it. And thank God for the crisis hotline is the only thing that saved me, and the nurse practitioner, and my wife, and my mom, my dad. I mean, be honest with you. But I don't want to get too detailed. But when you look at the VA total system, one part of the system doesn't talk to the other part of the system.
no.
And I'm reworking my primary towards all my other ones. And I think I'm learning a system on how to get my primary more effective into my other ones, because that's what needs to happen. I don't go and scream and yelling at them. There's no point. All that does is get your ass kicked out of the VA. But with all the blood, like they did a blood test on me 2 weeks ago. I think they took 9 vials of blood. So they ran every test under the sun.
Yeah.
You were telling us earlier about some of the new stuff that they're doing on you. And so let's talk about that.
Okay. So I had to take a feces test, and the reason they took the feces test was because of the 9 presumptives. And I don't know how to pronounce all these, but the brucellosis, the Q fever, and again, I don't know how to pronounce all these. The non-typhoid Salmonella, the Shigella. Again, I apologize. West Nile virus, and a couple of other of these that are in here. They checked me, and basically what they were checking for, Kevin, is they want to make sure that my GI tract wasn't inflamed from is colitis, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
But they want to make sure that something or one of these diseases wasn't causing it. They checked for bacteria, they checked for parasites, they checked for it's called Hypolera. And I may be pronouncing that wrong, but it's a common one that a lot of people have. But they checked for all this stuff. They did 4 different tests on the feces to make sure that it's not something common that can be fixed pretty easily with medication. It was none of those, so it's still undiagnosed at this point. And then they also did a new test I've never heard of, and it's called HLA-B27. And this test is a gene test that should narrow down if you have an autoimmune disease, reactive arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, or there's one other thing. Doggone it.
They're just, I mean, obviously they're looking for something that they're probably not going to find,
Right.
And I'm chuckling because as you're rattling off all these things they did, I was going to interrupt you. I didn't. I wanted to, but I was going to, and they found nothing, right?
No, not yet. Not yet.
No.
And let me look up this just real quick. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, while you're looking that up, it took them 8 years to figure out what caused my neuropathy.
Jeez. Yeah.
With the lining of my stomach being chemically burned, it burned my spores. And by then they were like, well, it's too late. I was like, okay, so what can we do for the chronic fatigue, the neuropathy, the people with fibromyalgia, the people with, digestive system problems, the people that are coming down with unexplained bleeding, and their answer is, we don't treat the problem. We only treat the symptom. So what that means is they're not looking for the cure. They're not
Right.
looking for anything out there. You know, like matter of fact, I talked to Ross Camp just the other day. They're going to come on a show in about.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they're going to come on a show in about in a month. And
That's Nancy Klimas, right? Dr. Nancy Klimas.
Yeah, I think and they're the ones who are actually going to come up and tell the new studies that they're doing, which is fabulous because they're looking more for their Gulf War. I mean, we already know there's been studies done on Gulf War vests that it's sarin gas. Oh, it's mustard gas. Oh, it's PTABs. Oh, it's anthrax. There's not a cure.
Nope.
And there never will be with the VA. You know,
So we're sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
No, but in the system, they're there just to make you comfortable until the day you die. And
Right.
what it is, it is right, and it's a payoff here. We're sorry for what happened to you, and this, and this, but you're gonna have to fight for it for 32 years. I mean, when I got out of when I left the military, I didn't even know I had a letter telling me I was exposed to exposures.
Yeah.
So what were you gonna say, John?
Well, no, I mean, you know, we're coming up near the end, but I was just, yeah, I mean, they don't have an answer. They're looking for that proverbial needle in a haystack, which they're not going to find. I mean, because like Kevin, you and I have talked multiple times, they look like all these studies, and I'm all about, okay, you're going to do the studies. And I often say I was a guinea pig when I was in active duty, and I was like, I don't, you know, we know that what it's not. We're pretty sure we know what it is. We're not pretty sure we know what it is, and it's like at what given point, and I've mentioned it several times before. You just got to shake your head and say, okay, yep, it is what it is. Okay. Treat the symptoms, okay, but do it. Treat the damn symptoms and take care of us and let us live the best life that we can live. And we all talk amongst one another and say, did this work? Yes, no, well, part of it, you know, blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the last thing he told me was, hey, look, you know, I can't go up anymore on your Lyrica. I can go up on your Valexafen. Hell no. I don't want to go up on that shit ever again, man, and everything. But really, the other doctor told me the only thing left to do is amputation.
Jeez.
That's their answer.
amputate.
Yeah, you got to. Can you make me 6 foot tall? Shit. You know, and that's the smart ass comment I come back with. I'm like, you ain't touching my damn feet. I'm telling you right now. I'll sit in a wheelchair and just roll around for all I care. Give me a motorized scooter. I mean, and all that. But Jeffrey, I want you to keep going. I know you were looking up something.
Okay. Yeah. So the test for that HLA-B27, it looks up or it helps pinpoint 3 things. It's reactive arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, and IBS. And I've been diagnosed with IBS, but the other 2 I have not been diagnosed with yet. But my pain resembles the psoriatic arthritis, and they think that they looked at rheumatology. And I've been to rheumatology for 3 years now, going back and forth. And all this started from the Portland VA didn't even catch it. Miami VA did when I was doing a study with them on different medications that would help relieve Gulf War illness pain. They noticed that I was urinating, that I had blood in my urine. So they said, hey, you may want to get this checked out. And when I brought it up to my PCP, my primary care physician, he said, oh yeah, we can take a look at this. And they noticed that my actual red blood count in my urine was pretty high. And that's what started the whole thing. And then they're like, oh yeah, your kidneys are messed up. Oh yeah, your liver's messed up. And then, it was just completely overlooked. And they said, oh, your blood count, your CBC, your regular blood count looks pretty good. Overall, you're looking all right. And then all of a sudden they realized, oh, there's some issues going on here. And that was frustrating enough in itself. And now I've waited 3 years to finally get some more diagnosis. And what I've managed to do, thankfully, is I actually have been diagnosed with exposure. And that's the term they use. And it has an actual SCT code. But I have exposure. I actually have Gulf War syndrome, and it has an SCT code to it, which is amazing because I don't think many people have that, and I don't think it brings any value necessarily. But it's on my VA problem list.
That's
So
mine too. Everything I have
great, okay.
is considered under the Gulf War illness, but mine was done in 1995.
Wow. Okay.
Everything that they started putting on my list is now considered under the Gulf War illness.
Wow.
But back there, it wasn't
That's
Gulf
great.
War illness. It was just the Gulf War. And then it went to the Gulf War illness, then went to Gulf War syndrome, then went to this. And you know, the little system, how it goes. But
Back and forth.
But here's the kicker of it all is when I went in, they told me, well, your EFGR, we're worried about that, is at, I think mine is at 68. And that puts me at like what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for kidney disease.
Yeah, I think it's a stage
right.
2. I'm a 66.
Stage 2. Okay, I'm stage 2, dang near close to stage 3 kidney disease to going into kidney failure. And I'm just like, okay, what? But everything else was fine. That was the weird part. I said, then what makes that do that? I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, that's
just drink more mojitos.
Right.
But, so I'm in the same boat, Kevin. I have my MPV. Let me see if I can find it real fast. I've got it all right here. So my MPV. I actually wrote a letter saying, look, I want some, or an email rather. I want some answers because I'm very frustrated with this. My MPV is a 9.3, which is low. And that MPV, I don't remember what it stands for right now. Gosh, I wish I could remember. But the MPV is low. That's not good. My ERS, that's your sedentary rate, and that's how your blood count, your blood cells fall when they do the certain test. And anything above 20 for a male over 50 is not good. Mine's 21. CRP, that's your C-reactive protein, should be below a 3. Anything above a 3 means you are possibly you're ready for coronary, not failure, but coronary disease, heart disease. Right. I'm a 5.5.
But
I have low.
But wait, stop right there.
Okay.
Remember when we did the show when everybody was on it?
Tiffany.
Yep.
Brand new heart. She's doing well,
how many?
By the way.
Huh?
She's doing well, by the way.
Is she? How many?
Yeah.
How many? What was it? Heart attacks, right?
Yep. I don't remember her number, like the number of heart attacks, but she had to get a brand new heart.
Yeah, I thought it was 5. I thought
don't remember,
it was 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And that was when she was young.
Yes, she just turned 51 now. She's 51 now.
And this
was 3 or 4 years ago.
Within his group. And
yeah.
That's the thing that everybody's not understanding. Yes, y'all were exposed, I believe, probably more than what I was. But I was exposed to the outside and the inside when we pulled in the port. He was spraying sarin gas. Y'all probably got a heavier dose of it than what we did because y'all were up in front lines. And running in the clothesline did not help any.
That's true.
Sorry, I had to bring that shit up again. But
told me that, and I'm like, shit.
But right, I mean, see, in each different part, like I talked to somebody that I sent a message to that they literally blew up a bunker that actually had the sarin gas in it.
Oh, Geneseo.
And they were all exposed. And I was like, please come on the show. He wants to come on the show. They're going to tell me a story. But this is what surprises me is it took 30-something years for them to say yes.
Yeah, there's a video out there of the engineers blowing it up.
Yes.
There's a video out there.
But it took 30-something years to say, hey, guys, y'all were Agent Orange. Nothing we can do about it. I had 2 uncles that died from it.
Yep.
And I don't care what anybody says. What they did is royal bullshit. To
Yes.
waste that damn long to take care of your vets. And that's why what we need to do, and we're doing it. I talk to veterans every single day that are coming together, pulling together to try to find results on what they're doing that helps them. I mean, how many pages do we have? Go for illness. You know, our kids are we're even exposed to it now. Anything we do, it is passed on to us. It passes on to them.
Yeah.
And in the mix of it, what we can do together is stay connected. The veterans are connecting, and the Go For Veterans is a tight community now. I mean, I'm linked to I think 135 pages out there, and every
Wow.
one of them put the hey, he's having a show tonight. They're streaming it everywhere,
That's awesome.
and that's where we need to go with this. And with you having the problems that you're having, because you were definitely on the front lines and y'all were bombarded with the bombs. And then at the end, I'm going to let you tell the story about the airplane, but I ain't going to let that shit go. I just want you to know. But with us connecting, our voices are very powerful, and they heard us with the PACT Act.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, they did. That day that they denied the PACT Act, we bombarded them with
Yes.
saying, you're going to pass this. They finally went in and passed it. Is it a decent bill? It's a decent bill. It's
Yeah,
not
it's pretty
great.
good.
It's not great. What they took out of it was sarin gas, P-tabs, anthrax shot, mustard gas, toxic waters. I mean,
Yeah, they did a good job of taking care of the Vietnam vets. They did a good job of taking care of post 9/11 vets, which is needed. Both of those were seriously
right.
needed.
Camp
And it's a
Lejeune,
good
yes.
thing, especially for the Vietnam vets.
Right.
That's something I will stand up on a freaking chair and bang a pan all day long, a pot and pan all day long about how we need to take care of Vietnam vets. But they did overlook us, and and hats off to Leroy Torres and his wife for Burn Pits 360 and them driving that, and for I can't remember his name, but the fellow from Grunt Style, I think it's Tim Jensen, for him driving that. He helped them with that. But also we have to remember Denise Nichols and Anthony Hardy, who started back in 1993 with the Gulf War.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Denise Nichols and Anthony Hardy didn't get a lot of
Jim
recognition.
Brown. And Jim Brown.
Yep.
Jim Brown. I mean,
yes.
Jim Brown put it all out there for us and said, hey,
Yes.
guys, I'm going to get in trouble for this. I'm going to be targeted, but this is what happened to us. And he let it know that he was targeted. And in which that's the one thing good is that we're all. And now what we're doing is we need to make sure our younger vets are taken care of the day they get out, not 30 years later, because the new batch that comes out is I just don't want them to go through what we're going through.
No,
it's crucial. It's crucial that those ETSing are taken care of. And before I forget, Jim, make sure, or not Jim, sorry, my bad. Jeffrey,
your ass is
I'm
in
terrible with
trouble.
names. Yeah. Hang tight after we sign off for the after show. But yes, I suck at names. Everybody that knows me, I'm lucky to remember my own kids' names, for God's sake. But I swear to God. Anyway, everybody ETSing now. Yeah, people that are over in Iraq and Afghanistan, if they don't understand it now, they're going to. And, in 10 years, but hopefully they'll get wind of us, the older vets, and say, hey, wait a second, they went through what? Why? And put two and two together. And that's why we're here, to help all vets. But the ones that are getting out, the ones that served, after us, they may not necessarily know what they're feeling or put two and two together if it isn't for us.
But
You know?
right, and that's why we created the outreach program. The
Yeah.
veteran outreach program, every veteran, every civilian should go in and click on that. We're there to answer questions. I mean, we don't just help the Gulf War vets. Right now, we're also targeting the Korean War vets to make sure
Right
that
on.
they're living in slumlords right now, and we want them out of there, and we want them in a better facility so that way they can die peacefully and happy. That's my goal. My goal is every veteran that served in a war or served their country needs to be taken care of. And
Yes.
and you know what? If you don't have illnesses and you serve the country, you know, I tell you, don't go out and make a claim. That nobody needs to make a false claim. Nobody whatsoever. But when you're elderly, you deserve to have a nicer place, facility for you and your spouse. That's what you earned. It's not a benefit. Everybody stop saying benefits. It really pisses me off when people say benefits because it's wrong. It's something that you have earned. And there's proper wording that needs to be changed for us so we can help these vets. 30 years is too long from being bombarded with bombs, sarin gas, mustard gas. And I'm letting you know I'm bringing Garth back on. We're gonna have to do a show. It won't be live. It will be recorded from Britain because he has new details on what the British is doing over there and their filings with the lawsuit and what the royal prince, the king, I don't know what you call them. I don't want to get
Charlie.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, Charlie.
Wow.
But Jeffrey, go ahead, and I want you to tell everybody. Not only were y'all bombarded with bombs that y'all probably, I don't know how y'all lived through it. You did it, but I want you to tell everybody about the airplane. And I hate to laugh at it because I saw the picture, but I was just like, this is how are they surviving?
So it was pretty it was something else. I'm glad Sid had the pictures. Sid McAllister's the one that had the pictures. So hats off to him for thinking about taking pictures. So we were flying. We went back to Dahran toward the end. I don't remember. I think end of June we flew back home, and they chartered through Pan Am. Because Pan Am was going bankrupt at the time. So they're like, hey, let's use Pan Am to get them all back home, use commercial flights versus we flew over on C5s originally. And the ones of us that flew on, some of them took different methods, but we took C5s over with our equipment underneath us. So we're flying back home on Pan Am. And the first thing that was funny is we're all sitting there, most of us are guys, and we're sitting there and we can smell the perfume from the stewardesses as they're walking up. And everybody's just a bunch of gophers. Everybody's head pops up and we're looking around, And so we board the plane. We take off. We head from Dahran to Rome, and we're flying, getting ready to land in Rome. It's super foggy. And somehow we land short of the runway. And I don't know how many yards exactly, between 150 to 50 yards short of the runway. And we hit, and when we hit in the grass and mud, and we slide into the runway, but it rips the whole landing gear back into the backside of the plane, and the plane hits the ground. So now the tail is on the ground, and we're still doing, 150 miles an hour, whatever, to land. And, they're still slowing down, and the plane's just sliding everywhere. And the whole top of the plane where your luggage goes overhead, all that's falling down and just smacking people in the head. And the whole, not just like the luggage portion, but the whole cabinets falling down and smacking people in the head. And we're just getting tossed all over the place and stuff. And I'm just thinking the whole time, it's like, you make it through a freaking war, and now you're going to die on the way home. This is a bunch of bullshit,
Wow.
And you made it with even being clotheslined.
Well, yeah, right.
Jeffrey, I'm never going to let you live that down. I'm sorry. I'm never going to let you live the clothesline thing ever.
I was just trying to hang my coat up so it could dry out.
Yeah, but that's your fault for being so damn tall.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I would knock me down a few inches. I can assure you that.
But with that being said, we're about to go into the after the show.
Right on.
And after our show, we kind of get a little bit more crazier and have a little bit more fun. And where YouTube is not going to throw my, little butt off of here and everything. And we give a little bit more tidbits about what the war was really like. Y'all should go watch our after show shows. Everything we do is for the vets. It's for the vets connecting. We are connecting with every veteran group we can right now to bring awareness, to help each other, to get through what we need to get through to solve our issues. I know they can't all be solved, but they can be helped one day at a time with each other. If anybody has anything that they would like to, if they don't want to come on there, but they need to talk to, at the end of the program, we'll always have my email address. You can contact me, you can email me, you can message me, you can do anything you want. I will get you in touch with the people you need to get in touch with. If I don't have the answers, I promise you, I'll find somebody who does have the answers. I will. I'll do everything I can out there. With that being said, John, do you have anything else you would like to add?
No, I'm good at the moment. We'll talk here in a minute.
John knows he's in deep shit. Jeff, do you have anything else left to say?
I just appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very much.
Hey, man, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all that come on my program, share your war stories, and then share what you are going through. I know it's hard. I know what you are going through, but it's one day at a time, and we can all get through it with each other.
Absolutely.
So everybody, with that being said, I want y'all to have a great night. If you miss any of the episode, it will be up for a day or two, and then you'll catch it on every Thursday. Y'all have a great night. Thank you for listening to Go For Side Effects. If you have a story or you would like to share or just come on with any comments or questions, please email me at kevinsimon@goforsideeffects.com.